Hello everyone! In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a few things in Excel using the online version of Excel. So I have open here a data file that is my emails over a 2-day period, when I got them, where they're at now, whether they're still in my inbox or I archived them, what type of email it was in terms of how it was generated, the topic, whether I replied, what type of sender it was, thread length, meaning like how many emails were in the chain of replies back and forth, and then the number of words in the email. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is show you how to make a copy of a sheet and rename the sheet. So before that, actually, I'm going to go ahead and hit F11 to go to full screen mode. Okay, so it looks a little bit better in the video here for you guys. And let me just zoom in a little too. All right, so to make a copy of a sheet, I'm going to go down to the name of the sheet at the bottom, which is raw data. I'm going to right click that and I'm just going to click duplicate. Okay, so now I have two sheets. You can click back and forth between them, but they look the same right now. And the one I want to rename is the raw data one. So if I double click on it, it will let me rename the sheet. I think you can also right click on it and just do rename. Okay, so I'm going to rename this clean data because I want to clean the data in this sheet. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little more so it looks good for the video. All right, now that I have zoomed in and made the sheet, I want to go ahead and resize the columns so that I can read everything clearly. So if you want to resize one column at a time, you can just hover between any two column letters until your mouse turns into the left-right arrow, and then just click and drag. So that's how to do one at a time. But if you want to do them all at once, you go over to the triangle between column A and row 1, click on that to select the entire sheet. And then you're going to double click, hover between two columns until you get the left-right arrow for your mouse, and then double click, boop, boop, and it sizes it automatically to be the right size. Okay, so now that I have done that, I'm going to go ahead and clean this data, which means I'm going to take care of any typos or formatting problems, and I'm going to standardize all the entries so they look the same. So in column A, there's only 2 problem entries. This one looks like it's just a typo. I should have put a colon here instead of a quotes. I'm going to change that to a colon. And notice I didn't change the PM to be capitalized, but actually what happened is Excel itself formatted it as a time when I made it into the colon. So you can see up at the top, it also has seconds in it, even though I didn't enter seconds. Excel did that. So the other one that's not right is this 1348. That is actually 24-hour time. And if you look up above, like right here, Excel also understands what that is. It's just got it in the 24-hour time format. So I would just retype like 1:48 p.m. there. Oh, it's still got on a 24-hour time. Okay, so I guess I have to change the format. So if I go to the Home tab and then the Format drop-down box, let me see if I can do time. Okay, so now it's got it with the seconds, so I have to drill down a little more. Let me go down to more number formats. Okay, let me pick the one here that looks like what I want. I want it to look like that. Okay, so that'd be one way to do it. I think actually another way you could do it would be like copy the formatting from another cell. Let me see if I can show you how to do that too. So I'm going to undo what I just did and go back to the 24-hour time, 1348. If I want to copy formatting from A11 onto A12, in other words, make A12 have the same formatting as A11, click on A11, and there's on the Home tab this little paintbrush right here called Format Painter. It's a thing that exists in a lot of Microsoft products. It's super useful. So click on that, and then you click on the cell where you want to put the formatting, which is A12. Okay, see, it moved this formatting from A11 to A12. It's really useful. It's great in Microsoft Word too, the Format Painter, and in PowerPoint and all kinds of stuff. Okay, anyway. So that fixed, I think, all of the times that were messed up. Yeah, the rest look okay. All right, so next I want to standardize the entries in these text areas. And the main issue that I see is that the capitalization is not standard. So I'm going to select all of the text data and I'm going to do a find and replace to fix capital letters. So I'm selecting from B2 all the way down to F26. And now I'm going to go to the Home tab, and I'm going to come over here to Find and Replace, or Find and Select rather. And then I do the drop-down menu, and then I'm going to do Replace. So what I want to do now is replace any capital letters with lowercase, or you could go the other way around, replace lowercase beginnings of words with uppercase. I think that'd be a little harder to achieve using Find and Replace, unless you went to all caps. It would look even worse. Okay, so anyway, let's see. I want to start by replacing the capital J's with lowercase j's. Let me show you what happens. So I'll put find what uppercase J, replace with lowercase j. Now, if I click replace all, okay, it actually did it. I wasn't sure if it was going to do it because sometimes you have to click an option that says like match case. I didn't click that, but it still did it. So, okay. Case means like check for whether it's upper or lowercase. All right, so I'm just going to do this with the other capitalized letters. Let's see, what are they? This S in student employee. I'm going to do that one. Okay, replace all. Okay. I think IT is okay because that's an abbreviation, so I'll leave that capitalized. This capital Y in yes. So I'm going to replace capital Y's with lowercase y's, replace all. Oh, I'm sorry, the replace all is behind my head, I just realized. I've been clicking this button right here that says replace all. Okay, and then let's see, are there any more? Oh, the F in faculty right here. So I'm going to do capital F with lowercase f, replace all. Okay, now I think I got all the capital letters, but are there any other mistakes? So I see staff is misspelled right here. I'm going to type over that with the right spelling. And there's one other that is really hard to see, and it's actually this one. So all these other entries say just to me, and this one says just for me. So I'm going to change that to just to me. Okay, so hopefully that's everything. Sometimes it's hard to spot what the issues might be until you're trying to do something else later, though. All right, let's look at the last two columns here, see if they need any cleaning. So G, thread length, that's number of emails. I don't know what would be weird, like a 0.5 of an email would be weird. Negative emails would be weird. These all look okay to me. Num words, same way. If you had like half a word, I think half a word is still just a word. Negative words wouldn't make sense, but this looks fine to me. They don't look weird in any way. Okay, so it looks pretty clean to me. I think this is good. So next thing I want to show you is how to sort the data set. So it's really important when you have a data set where each row corresponds to an observational unit. So these rows here correspond to individual emails. It's really important that you don't sort the columns separately from each other, because then you're going to mix up the data between the emails and you're not going to know what came from the same email anymore. So you won't be able to make sense of like scatter plots, for example. They would become meaningless. So it's really important when you sort then that you select your entire data set before sorting. So I'm going to select from A1 all the way over to H26. Another way to do it would be just click and drag from A over to H. If you click on the little triangle here to select the whole sheet, right now it's okay because there's nothing else in the sheet other than the data set. But if you had some extra stuff over here, like we had some stuff that wasn't part of the data set, then you would potentially be sorting that too. So I'm just going to play it safe and select from A over to H. Okay, so I just click and drag across those headings. And I'm going to go to the data tab, and then I'm going to click, where is the sort button? Yes, this sort button right here, custom sort. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure my data has headers is checked, because you don't want to sort your headers. If you send your headers to the bottom, then they're not headers anymore. They're footers or middlers or something, kneesers or elbowsers. Anyway, so now I'm going to sort by, you can pick what you want to sort by. I guess I'll just do num words. Okay, and then sort ascending is the default. That means going from low to high. So I'll just click OK. All right, and now we can see, so if you, I'll go back to the home tab for a second. If you undo it and then redo it, what does the web version let you redo if I hit Control Y? Yeah, so Control Y is the keyboard shortcut for redo. Oh, it's also here under the undo drop down menu. Sorry. I just wanted to show you, like, when you undo it and redo it, you can see that the entire rows are moving around. So not just the num words column. And that's how it should be, because you want to move each row together so that they stay together. All right, so anyway, but now column H is sorted, so the minimum number for words we can see was 6, and the maximum was 594, which looks like it was that big events email that we all get every day. All right, so now I want to show you guys how to make a calculated column. And I'm going to go ahead and do this over in column J. So what I want to do here is I want to estimate how many words were in each email thread, meaning the whole email chain of replies and stuff. But I only have data from one email in each thread. So like this was 3 emails that went back and forth, but I only know that the last one that I got had 6 words in it. So I would just guess that the others probably had 6 words too. So I would estimate that the whole email chain had 18 words in total. Okay, so for this column, I'm going to call it estimated words in thread. And I'm going to go ahead and make that bold like the other headings. So you can just select the cell and do Control B or Command B. Or you can use the Home tab and then this little bold button right here. Okay. And then for my formula, so for cell J2, I'm going to go there. I'm going to type equals to start my formula. Then all I want to do is multiply these 2 numbers together, the thread length and the num words. So I'm going to click on the 3, or I can type G2. I'm going to do asterisk, so Shift 8. And then I'm going to click on the 6, or you can type H2. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And now I got what I expected, 18. So it's 3 times 6. But it's important that you didn't just type in 3 and 6, but you actually typed the references to the cells, because now we're going to fill this formula down. Okay. So once you have entered the formula, click on the cell again. And the little green box in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to hover over that with your mouse until your mouse turns into the black plus sign. Now, because we put this in column J and not right next to column H, when you double-click, it won't do anything, because the way it actually decides what to do is by looking at the column to the left. So you're going to click and drag down instead to the end, which is row 26. Okay, and just make sure all the answers are different and they all look like reasonable, like okay, 1 times 594 is 594, 2 times 89, yeah, it's probably about that much. Okay, so these look reasonable to me. All right, so now I'm just going to widen this because this heading was sticking out. Okay, so now what I want to do is actually calculate a min, a max, range, mean, and median for one of these columns. And they need to do a numerical or quantitative column, so I'll just do that for num words. So I'm going to go over here a little bit to give myself some more space. And in column L, I'm going to do a label. So this will be num words. Let's put colon, and then I'm going to label this min, max, range, mean, and median. Okay, and I'll just make this a little bit wider, and I'm going to make these bold as well. Okay. So now in column M, I'm going to actually put the formulas for these labels. So I want to do the min of num words. I start by typing equals, and then the formula name is min, M-I-N. Okay. When the little tooltips come up down here, you can use the up and down keys to scroll through them. And if you come to the one that you want to use, you can press tab and that will insert it for you. Okay. But anyway, if you want to just type it in yourself, it's M-I-N left parenthesis. Now it gives you the little tip here, which sometimes is helpful and it's not always helpful. For this one, you're just going to click and drag over the things that you want the min of, which is the num words. You can just click the whole column if you want to, or you can click and drag over from H2 down to H26. And then after that, just type the right parenthesis, hit enter, and make sure you got a reasonable number. Yeah, 6 was the minimum number. We already knew that, so that's good. For the max, same way, equals max, left parenthesis. You can even type in the range if you want, H2 colon H26. All right, so that's another way to do it. Close parentheses, hit enter. For range, there's not an Excel formula. You just write a formula to subtract the max minus the min. So I'll do equals, and then I'm going to use my up arrow key to select the cell where the max is. Okay, so that was M3. And then I'm going to type minus, and then I'm going to use my up arrow key again to go to the cell that I want, which is M2. Okay, and then I'm going to press enter. Oop, okay, 588. Yeah, that's right. 594 minus 6 is 588. For the mean, the formula is called average, not mean. So average. There it is. I'm going to use tab to insert that. Okay. And now, again, just highlight the cells that you want. I'm going to do it with my keyboard this time. So I click the left key, left, 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 go up to H6 or H2. And now to highlight that whole column, I hold down the shift key and use my down key. So shift and then down. By the way, holding down shift to select a range is not exclusive to Excel. It works in any program. Okay, so once I've got the whole thing selected there, right parenthesis, press enter. Okay, and let's make sure it looks good. Mean 110. Yeah, sounds about right. Should be between the min and the max anyway. The median equals median. Okay, I'm gonna do my keyboard selection again. A keyboard is much faster than clicking on things in my opinion. Okay. If you're selecting something really long, you can use like page down or end or home keys too, instead of just up and down. Okay, close parentheses, hit enter. All right, so the median is 50. Yep, that's between the min and the max, so sounds about right. When you look at the column that you're taking the median of in sorted order, the median should be right in the center, and indeed 50 is like right in the center there. So that is good. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys how to make a pivot table, a multivariable pivot table. So let us go ahead and select the data that we want the pivot table for. If you just select one cell somewhere in your data set, it should go ahead and automatically suggest a good selection for your pivot table. Let's see if it's going to do it correctly this time. So I'm just going to select A1, and then I'm going to go to insert, and I'm going to go to pivot table, and I'll just click the main button, not the drop down. Okay, so I'm going to select that. And now, so it's suggesting this for the source A1 through H26. Let me just make sure that's what I want. Okay, it's not including the J column, but I think the reason is because we left I blank. If you wanted it to take that too, I guess you'd have to delete I. But this seems like an okay range for me. So that's fine. I'm going to click the little check button here. Let me move my face so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. And I'm going to click on insert in new sheet because I think it'll look cleaner. So new sheet. Okay. So now you should have the variable list over here, and then you have filters, rows, columns, and values. Rows and columns might be called something different like axis and legend, but don't worry about that too much. If you click off of your pivot table, that stuff will disappear, and you just need to click back onto your pivot table and it'll come back. Okay, so now let's actually make our pivot table. So I want to let's use one of our qualitative variables. Let's use sender for the rows. So I'm going to click and drag sender into the rows area. Okay. And then I'm also going to use type for the columns. So I'm going to click and drag that under columns. And then for the values, you can do either sender or type. It doesn't matter because what it's actually doing is just counting how many rows had any value in the variable that you put under values. So I'm just going to drag type down there. And that should give me my table up here. So I can see here that on the rows, it's looking at the type of sender, faculty, staff, or student. And in the columns, it is looking at the type of email, automated group, just to me, or mass. And then in these cells here, it's counting how many rows in the original data set had that value for type and sender. Okay. And then we have totals on the margins here, grand total over here. All right, so now that we have this, we can insert a pivot chart. So I'm just going to go ahead, click anywhere on the table, and then just click insert, and then you're going to put in a chart. So let's look at our drop-down menu here. You can do clustered column, you can do stacked column, you can do clustered bar or stacked bar. Those are kind of the only reasonable choices for these pivot tables. Let's go ahead and do a stacked column. Okay, there it is. So it's got everything labeled here. You can change little details like the title and axis labels and colors and stuff like that if you want. But this is the default. So looking at this, we can interpret What it means, it looks like I got the most emails from staff members, 10 emails from staff. I got the second most from students. I got 8 emails from students. And I got the third most from faculty. I got 7 emails from faculty. Then within the student category, all of the emails were just to me, so, which makes sense because students don't usually email a bunch of professors at once. Occasionally they do. From staff, it looks like I got a lot of automated emails and I got a lot of mass emails, which makes sense. And then some were just to me. And then from faculty, I got a lot of group emails. Only group emails I got were from faculty. So, all right. Next, I want to show you guys how to make a histogram for one of your quantitative variables. So let's go back to the clean data tab, and I'm gonna, where should I put my face? I guess I'll put it back over here. Okay, let's go back to the clean data tab, and I'm gonna close the pivot table menu. And now let's select one of our variables that has numbers. So I'm gonna do thread length. So click on the G. And to insert a histogram, I just go to the Insert tab, drop down the chart options here, and at the bottom, there's some that look like histograms, but it's not that, and it's not that. It's the one that says histogram on the little pop-up menu. Okay, so there it is. And Excel has some kind of default way of deciding what the bins should be. If you decide that you want to change the bins, you can, let's see, how do you do it? How do you do it? If I right click on the bin labels and do format, what do I get? Okay, this is the one that is not it. I think what you have to do is, you might have to right click on the columns, like the blue columns themselves, and then do format. Let me try that. No. I think that's the Mac version of doing it. It might be under series. Yes, okay, here it is. It's under series. So if you do the, I guess if you right click on either the labels or on the columns, and then you get the format menu, then you expand the series option, and you can change bins from auto to bin width, and that will allow you to put in the bin width yourself. Like if you want to do a bin width of 2. Okay, now all your little categories down here at the bottom are a width of 2, like 5 to 7 is 2. Or you can change the number of bins. So if you want 10 bins, you can do it like that. Or you can just put it back on the auto if you would like. Okay, so that is a histogram. And now let's do a scatter plot. So for a scatter plot, you need to select, let's go move this down here. For a scatter plot, you need to select 2 quantitative variables. So let's do numWords and thread length. Now, whichever one is on the left is going to go on the x-axis, and whichever one is on the right will go on the y-axis automatically. There's ways to change it, but I'm not going to show you that. So I'll just click and drag from G over to H, insert, chart drop down, the one that looks like dots, scatter. Okay, and there it is. It's possible to do this wrong. Let me see if I can demonstrate how it can go wrong. So that, insert, scatter. Was that actually wrong? Hold on a second. Okay, I had to pause for a second and think if that was actually wrong. So that actually was wrong, what I just did. And I want to show you for a second what I did again that can go wrong. It's if you select your data wrong, if you do this, select the first column, hold down the control key, select something in the second column, and then still holding down the control key, select the whole column. It's kind of like you've got 3 selections going on. Then when you insert your scatter plot, it's like, it's hard to see what exactly is wrong here, but if you really look at your data, you can tell that something is wrong. Because on your x-axis here, it goes from 0 to 25, but neither of these quantitative variables have the range from 0 to 25. Just look at them. Neither of them goes from 0 to 25, right? Numwords goes from 6 to 600, and thread length goes from 1 to, I think 9 is the most. So you can tell something has gone wrong, although not as easily as you can tell on the full version of Excel. Basically, what happened when I did the wrong selection is what's on the x-axis now is not either of those quantitative variables. It's actually the row number in your table. So the thing that goes from 0 to 25 is these rows over here. Okay, and that's not what you want for a scatter plot. So just a word of caution, like what can go wrong. So when I look at the correctly made scatter plot, I'll just show you one more time how to put it in. Click and drag from G over to H, or if they weren't happening to be next to each other, you would click on the first one, then hold down Control, click on the second one. Okay, then you go to Insert, drop down, Scatter. Okay, now you can tell that this plot is correct because your thread length has the range from 1 to 9, and that's what we've got on the x-axis here. Our points are starting at 1 and they're ending at 9 right here. And then numwords goes from 6 to about 600, and that's also what we're seeing on the y-axis right here. Okay. If you want to change like some labels or titles, I believe you can just right click on stuff or double click on stuff and then change things. If you want to put in, for example, like axis labels, you have drop down menus up here. When you're clicked onto your chart, you should have this chart tab right here. And then you can click axis titles, primary, horizontal, title below axis. You put in the title. So what was on the horizontal axis? It was thread length, right? Okay. And then you could put in the vertical axis. Let's do rotated. So this was numwords. Okay. You can delete things if you don't want them, like that one. Maybe I don't even want a title. Okay. So that is a scatter plot. There's lots of other things you can change too, but I'll stop there. Next thing I want to show you is how to do percentiles and percentile rank, and then we'll finish up with box plots. So I'm going to come back over to column L, and I'm going to put in some labels for percentiles. So I want to do percentiles of numwords. I'm going to do the 25th percentile of numwords and the 75th percentile numwords. Okay, now I'll just widen this column so we can read that. All right, so in cell M8, I'm going to put the formula for percentile. So equals percentile. There's two formulas actually, the .exe and the .inc. They're just slightly different methods for calculating it. There's a lot of different methods for calculating percentile, even more than just two. So pick whichever one of those you want, and I'm going to press tab to insert it automatically. Okay, so now I need to select the data. So I'm going to click from cell H2 and drag down to cell H26, or you can type in H2:H26. Okay, and then I need to put in a second entry, a second argument here, and that is what percentile I want. So you put a comma after H26, and then you're going to enter 0.25 for the 25th percentile. You have to put it in as a decimal for some reason, because Excel decided to do it that way. All right, right parenthesis, press enter, and we got 17.5. So what does that mean? That means that if we would sort the numwords data from least to greatest, and we would look 25% of the way along that list, we should see the data entry 17.5. So here actually is sorted the numwords data from least to greatest, and about 25% of the way through this list should be somewhere around here, I guess. And yeah, okay, so 17.5, it's actually not an entry in the list, but it's between these two that are about 25% of the way through the list. Okay, for the 75th percentile, we do exactly the same way. So percentile, pick whichever of those formulas you like, select your data. I'm just going to type this in H2:H26. Okay, comma, and then I'm going to do 0.75 this time. Okay, press enter. So this should be the data value that is 75% of the way along the list. And if we look at this numwords list, it's all sorted. 75% of the way along should be around here somewhere. So yeah, that's near these two entries. It's between those two entries. All right. So 97.5 is between these two entries. All right, next let's do percentile rank. And for percentile rank, you don't specify a percentage, you specify a data value, and you get in return what percent of the way through the list that data value would be. So we're going to do percentile rank of 100 words. I want to see if that was in the list, which it's not, but if it was, what percentage of the way through the list would it be? So now the formula is a little different. It's %rank.exe or %rank.inc. So these third or fourth formulas that come up when you type equals PER. So either of those, I'm going to press tab to put one in. Now I select the data again. So from H2 to H26, comma, and now instead of typing the percentage, I type the data value I'm interested in, which is 100. Close parentheses, press enter. All right, so it comes out as a decimal form of a percentage. So this means 75.5%. If you want to format it as a percentage, you can. You just go to the Home tab, drop down menu for format, percentage, and it makes it look like a percentage. Okay. All right, finally a box plot. So for a box plot, you select the column that has your data in it. So let's do numwords again. So click on the H, insert, charts drop down, scroll to the bottom. Box plots are in the bottom left corner. It's called box and whisker. Okay, there it is. It looks a little bit ugly because box plots are supposed to be like narrow and skinny, and this one's kind of like short and squat. So you can make it look a little nicer by kind of making it skinnier like that, and by lengthening it a little bit. The reason it's looking so kind of bad is because of these outliers, actually. So Excel has classified 4 of our data values as outliers. It's these bottom 4, the longest 4 emails. It's marked them with dots because it's calling them outliers. We can see the mean is the little X right here, and it's at, should tell me what its value actually is if I hover over it. Let me see if I can manage to do this. Oh, does it not do that on the web version? Oh, on the full version, it tells you exactly what the values are when you hover over them. That's annoying. Okay, well, it looks like the mean is at about 110 or so, which is what we calculated before. It was 110. Okay. Some other things you can interpret from this box plot. The bottom of the box looks like it's at about, I'm going to estimate like 25 or so. And the top looks like it's at 100. So that means the middle 50% of email lengths were from about 25 words to about 100 words. So the box is the middle 50% of data. The bottom whisker represents the smallest 25% of data. Looks like it goes from about 5 or so. It's hard to tell just estimating what these numbers are over here. Looks like it goes from about 5 to like 25 maybe. And then the upper whisker looks like it goes from 100 to, I don't know, about 115 or so. So we would say the upper 25% of email lengths were from 100 to about 115. Okay, so that is the box plot, and that was the last thing I wanted to show you. If you have questions about how to do anything else in Excel, send me an email or talk to me before or after class or during office hours. Bye-bye.